Alright YouTube, today we've got a bit of a transformation haircut for you. We're doing a pompadour with a taper on the sides. This particular client hasn't had his haircut for over 7 months, so it's going to be a bit of a change. What I'm doing now is I'm taking a profile section down the centre of his head, and that is going to be my guide for the whole top of the haircut. What I'm doing here is I'm creating a triangle shape just to build up that weight at the front of the hair, allowing it all to fall back nicely and to allow the client to style it easily. Don't forget to give the video a like, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. So now I've done my profile section with a vertical guide. I'm now taking horizontal sections, using that initial profile section as a guide throughout the whole haircut. And now I'm repeating the same steps on the opposite side of that profile section until I've completed the whole top of the head. So now that I've done the top, what I'm going to do now is work on the connection. This is really going to help the client when he's styling the hair. It's going to help me when I'm doing my clipper work, blending right into the length on the top, and it's going to make the haircut sit a lot nicer. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking a section from the recession right to the back of the crown in a triangular shape, as you can see. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a cross graduation technique. And what graduation is going from longer hair to shorter hair. So I'm taking triangular sections, pivoting my fingers out to create more weight at the top, and to graduate going shorter towards the bottom where I'm going to do my clipper work. And you can see with each new section that I take, I'm directing that section back to the previous section that I've just cut and using that as a guide. And then I'm going to follow that all the way round to the back of the head. Cross graduation technique is also going to create a really nice flow to this haircut, and you'll see when the client's hair is sitting backwards and when it's blow dried into place that it will really complement the shape of the cut and the style. So what you start to see me do now as I get to the curvature of the back of the head is use some over direction techniques. So as the head starts to round at the back, I don't want to follow that shape and I don't want to create a round flat shape at the back. What I want to do is create a nice full square shape. So each section from this curvature point is going to be over directed back to the most square point. As you can see here, I'm directing it back to that previous section, and I don't want to follow the actual shape of the head. Otherwise it's going to be really flat at the back and it's going to lose that shape. So now I'm just finishing up around the back. I'm going to finish my last couple of sections from now around the back. And then once I've completed that side, I'm going to cross over, hence the name cross graduation, and complete the same steps on the opposite side. So now I've completed both steps on both sides. What I'm doing now is I've just seen there's a little bit of extra weight here. So I've just taken another section slightly higher up from the recession point, and I'm just reducing some of the weight here as it connects in. And again, I'm just taking another section just slightly higher than my previous section and following the same steps. Just following that same pattern and the same shape as the cross graduation, just to further reduce the weight and allow it to sit back really nicely. So now I'm using my feather razor, and what this does is it adds a little bit of texture to the haircut. It also helps to remove the weight by removing the top layers of the hair. The feather razor, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a razor blade on a handle, and it has little serrated teeth on there that guides the hair through. Now I'm using a slicing technique with my scissors, just gliding the scissors through the hair, slowly opening and closing the handle. And what this does is removes the internal layers. Now we're going to blow dry the hair into place, sectioning the hair from back to front. I'm using my Denman Fade Brush here as my preferred brush of choice for blow drying and styling. So I've got my wall seniors here with the clear lid and the 245 colours, and I've got my 245 battery. The 245 battery is a game changer for the seniors. It gives it an extra 50% battery life and also increases the power as well. I purchased mine from Chris & Sons, and I think it cost me about £20, and it's well worth the investment. So what I'm doing now is I'm debulking with my number 4 guard, going straight into the length that I created using cross graduation with my scissor work, and because I did it down to finger length with my cross graduation, that pretty much blends in perfectly with the number 4 guard as I'm coming off the head at the parietal ridge. With pretty much every single one of my haircuts, I cut the top first and create the shape, and I also use some kind of block graduation or cross graduation to create the connection from the top to the sides. And then what that does is allows me to blend in the top to the sides much easier as I'm working from my longest guard, which is a number 4 guard or number 3 guard, into finger length scissor work, which blends in really nicely and saves a lot of time and hassle. And when I come to do my scissor over comb at the end, or my clipper over comb, I'm basically just refining, and there's barely any bulk there to work through. So now I'm using my number 3 guard all the way open, and I'm going to go all the way around the head, and then I'm going to close it to a 3 closed, and then go down to my lowest guard, which I believe is a 2, before tapering the neckline and the sideburns. And as you can see with the angle of my clippers, I'm coming straight up off the head, keeping it nice and square as I come off the side of the head, and I don't want to go into that shape that I've created there with the cross graduation. Now I'm down to my 2 guard all the way open, just coming right beneath where I just left off with the 3 guard closed. Then I'm going to close the leather, going all the way down to a 2 closed. Now I'm using my Gamma Absolute Hitters to take the hair all the way down to skin at the neckline so I can start my taper. I'll also be doing a review of the Gamma Absolute Hitters very soon, so keep an eye out for that. So now I'm going in with the blade all the way open, creating a guideline around about an inch up. And then what I'm going to do is going to close the blade up, taking that first guideline out. So my next step will be the blade halfway open, then a quarter way, and then all the way closed, going down a quarter inch at a time until that line's gone. Now I've got the one guard all the way open, again going up around an inch. And my next step will be the one guard closed, right underneath that 1 inch guideline with the one guard open. And then I'm going to switch to my half guard. Now I've got the half guard with the lever halfway open. And then I'm going to close the lever all the way to take out the rest of that guideline. Now I'm using my 1.5 guard all the way open. This should pretty much blend all the way into the number 2 guard that we left off on. And then I'm going to close the 1.5 guard. And then what I'll probably have to do is go back to my 1 guard open to take that initial guideline out that I put in. I'm just using my 1 guard open, just using the corners of the blade to take out any dark lines that were left. Now what I'm just doing is a bit of detail work, and this will be the same with any fade that you do after you've gone through your initial steps. We'll go back and do some detail work, taking out any little dark lines or any little shadows or where there's any indents. So now I'm starting off at the sideburn with the lever all the way open, and then I'm going to close it halfway and quarter, then all the way closed. Now I'm using my 1 guard all the way open, and then closed, and it's going to be exact same steps as on the back, using my half guard with the blade halfway open and then all the way closed. And now I'm using my 1.5 guard all the way open and then all the way closed. And again, I'll probably go back now and do some more detail work to take out any lines that are left over. Now what I'm doing is just blending the sideburns into the top of the beard, and I'm basically doing the same steps but in reverse. Now I'll move on to the opposite side, and I'm going to do the exact same steps, and I'll let you follow along. So now I've finished my clipper work. Now moving on to my scissor over comb. I've slightly parted the hair at the recession point just to make it a bit easier for me. And now I'm just refining with some scissor over comb at that connection point at the parietal ridge. And as I said previously, there'd be very little work for me to do with scissor over comb, and it's just going to be mostly detail work and just to soften that edge. Now I'm going to do the same on the opposite side, taking a parting at the recession point, just to make it cleaner for me and easier to work in that section. Now I'm using my Gamma Absolute Hitters again to finish the haircut off by lining it up. Having a sharp pair of trimmers really does make your life easier, so you're not repeatedly tapping on the same area, irritating the client's skin and making your job harder. What I like to do when lining up the front of the hairline is create my first initial guide and then use the corner of the blade to create that nice C-shaped hook, keeping the hairline natural but looking sharp. And as I'm lining up now at the back of the neck, this is where you'll really see the taper come into its own. As we're keeping it nice and short on the neckline and on the sideburns, going down to skin or down to a 0, and then leaving it a little bit dark around the ears, you'll really see a nice sharp line pop on the back of the neckline, and it really sets off the haircut. Now I'm using my 245 razor just to finish up the haircut, lining up the hairline. And what this is going to do is enhance that line up further and just make it pop a little bit more and make it extra sharp. So now I'm just styling his hair using our very own Legion Barber styling products. I'm using a product called the Styling One, which is a matte paste. It's a versatile paste with a strong hold and a matte finish for a more natural look. Now I'm just using a bit of hairspray to give a bit of extra hold and create a bit more separation. So this was the before, 7 months with no haircut. And this is the finished haircut. Let me know what you think, guys. If you like that video, please give me a like, hit that subscribe and the notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.